സ്പീഡ് വായിക്കാൻ പോവാണ്. റെഡി? Mr. Speaker, sir, I am sure that this budget is on the whole a very satisfactory one. We have been passing through difficult times. It is a miracle that the government have been able to balance the budget and at the same time provide for all the amenities that are possible in the circumstances. On going through the budget, we will see that no service has been cut short and the government are spending more on education, health and every other aspects of life. So, I would say that the budget is a very good and the best possible one under the circumstances. We have taken up the responsibility of the government to improve the lot of the common man. We have been trying to improve his lot, but I should say the conditions have not been favorable to us. So, we have not advanced far enough in improving his lot. Our party has been doing its best to raise the level of the common man. But what has been done so far is not enough. So far as education is concerned, all the colleges which have been started only in towns. As a result, it has not been possible for the poor man in the village to educate his children in the village. If at all he does it, it is only at a very high cost, and that is possible only for a very few rich people in the villages. In the circumstances, I would like to request the government to lay it down as a condition that if a new college is started, it must be started in a village so that the people in the villages may be able to educate their children therein. So far as medical aid is concerned, hospitals and dispensaries are mostly in towns and in district headquarters, where there will be a few lakhs of people. I would like the government to lay it down as a policy that for every 15,000 of population there must be a hospital, however small it may be. The poor man must be able to reach it within an hour's journey and get necessary medical aid. So far as famine is concerned, this year the government have been spending a lot of money, but I would like to say that it is not enough. In this connection, the first question that must be decided in giving famine relief. Ready? അടുത്ത സ്പീഡ് വായിക്കണേ. Dear friends, I am very happy to be with you today at this meeting of State Ministers of Welfare and Social Justice. Equal development of all weaker sections of the society is central to the government's agenda of inclusive growth. It is very important that we implement the protection of civil rights. We need to ensure that meeting of the committees at the state and district levels are held regularly. I have written on this subject to all the chief ministers of our country. I do hope that the state welfare ministers will certainly implement the letter and spirit of several welfare measures meant for the weaker sections of this country. At the same time, I would like to invite you to take full advantage of central financial assistance which is available for this purpose and which includes setting up of large number of exclusive special courts for speedy trial of such offences. One of the impediments the way of our development process in the country is the fact that even after 69 years of independence, we will have the bad practice of manual scavenging. Today, I would like you to pledge that this practice will be eliminated from every nook and corner of our country in the next few months. I am very happy to inform you that the post-metric scholarship scheme for scheduled caste students was revised recently. Education, health care and skill development are the three very important needs of empowering vulnerable sections of our community to rise in the development field. I therefore give great importance to the provision of scholarships to students coming from these classes of our society. I can assure you that the center will continue to bear the financial burden for the entire 12th five-year plan period. The state government's share will become due only in the 13th five-year plan. So, it is very clear that the central government has willingly undertaken this additional commitment in order to ensure that our scheduled caste children do have access to higher education of the requisite quality. I would like to make it very clear in this connection that the state governments must, however, ensure that the benefits of the revised scheme not only reach the scheduled caste students but also do so in a true and correct manner. They should thereby be able to improve their participation in education. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I feel obliged to you all for giving me this unique opportunity this evening to speak to you on a subject so close to my heart. In fact, it is close to the hearts of all those who have patriotic blood flowing in their veins and those who genuinely love this motherland of ours and want to see it touch the zenith of prosperity. There is indeed no denying that fact that the key to the prosperity of this country lies in the development of our cottage industries. Let us not be dazed by the progress made by some of the highly industrialized Western countries like the United States of America. It is not necessary that what suits them will suit us also. Borrowed clothes seldom fit well, nor do transplants succeed in every soil. Our problems are entirely different from those of America, and our solutions would also be different. I quite agree that industrialization saves that human beings from the burden of drudgery and makes human life enjoyable. I also agree that it creates ample leisure in which human beings can realize themselves and devote themselves to the quest of higher goals. But who need leisure in our country? And who can think of higher goals on empty stomach? Gandhiji was right when he said that our problem is now how to find leisure for the teeming millions living in the villages. Our problem is how to utilize their idle hours. And do you know how many idle hours they have? They are idle for at least 6 months a year, and when Gandhiji was told that industrialization enabled every American to have 33 slaves, this reply was very simple. Try this experiment in India and it will 33 times enslave every Indian, for industrialization will lead to the concentration of economic power and wealth in a few hands and reduce the already poor to a state of utter penury. Friends, would you like to see your country inhabited by a few masters and vast majority of slaves whose lives are totally devoid of grace and dignity? I fail to understand why we are always looking forward the States and other advanced European countries. Why don't we look towards Japan? Japan is one of the most prosperous countries, and it is only 30 years ago that the whole of Japan was laid waste by the atom bombs. ഞാനൊരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പർ വായിക്കാം PSCയുടെ. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് അത് 80 വേർഡിൽ തന്നെ വായിച്ച് നോക്കാം, എഴുതാൻ പറ്റുമോ ശ്രമിക്കുക കേട്ടോ. The first place you are studying for some purpose, perhaps it is solely to pass an examination or a series of examinations. You may be a student in an institution or may be working on your own. If you are attending to educational institution or taking a correspondence course, you are being helped by teachers. It is important in the first place for a student to understand what a teacher can be do for him. The teacher cannot get you through your examination if you do not do any work for yourself. You have to attend to him whether he is talking to you by lecturing or giving private tuition. Therefore, the first thing you have to do is to take note carefully of everything that B says. It is impossible to stop a teacher to ask questions. The least you can do is to remember those things you have found difficult and to make up your mind in some way or other, either by asking questions or looking the matter up in books. It is not sufficient just to listen to the teacher to take a careful note of what he says and then try to learn the material later. A student gets more out of his teachers the more work he is prepared to do entirely on his own. In the first place, he needs to think about what his teacher has said. A student has to put some questions which he feels necessary and then try to obtain answers from the teacher. In addition, the student's reading should be related to the lessons or lectures that he hears so that his reading reinforces what he learns orally from his teacher. An ideal student is one who has already read carefully the subject with which his teacher is dealing. He can then listen attentively and take particular note of these points that have not come before him earlier. What all this amounts to is that the student should fully engage himself with his subject. A basic student is a student without any assistance other than his own efforts on the subject he is studying. He works at these and masters them. This is what study really should be, and everything else that may be obtained from lessons. The lectures from teachers are additions to the basic equipment at the student disposal. Thank you.